Good morning, friends. Here we are. Another day, another Dharma, another invitation to wake up. Waking up in the morning for most of us, although I know some of you are in other time zones. Just this kind of endless invitation, gentle invitation, simple invitation, and yet profound and often kind of ungraspable, elusive invitation. To let our life, really, and by that I mean our life energy, and all this inner activity that there is, this brilliant human mind we have, this sensitive human heart, this dynamic human body, all of which can feel like it's sometimes going in rather wild and untrained directions. The pulls of our biology to eat, to be comfortable, to satisfy the kind of the pleasure receptors, to avoid pain, and then the kind of the activity of the heart, somehow wanting sustenance, contact, intimacy, reassurance, love, and then all the activity of mind, just responding to all the stimulations of any given moment, plus the residue of all the previous moments, plus the anticipation of a bunch of future moments, and all the habits that we've built up. So, wow, that's where we're sitting this morning. Now we're sitting in the midst of all these kaya sankharas, Buddha called them, these kind of bodily conditions and conditioning, biological conditioning, we could call that, kaya sankhara. And then the chitta sankhara, mental and emotional conditioning, all that drives the dynamism of what we call me. And this invitation of our practice then to just come inside. Oh, here's all this activity and this opportunity we have, instead of just being pulled around by the activity, or dragged around by all that activity, largely unconsciously, and devoid of any real reflection around whether these pulls are wise pulls or foolish pulls, whether they're helpful pulls or ones that are going to lead us into more difficulty. So the invitation, okay, here's all the dynamism, here's the bodily stuff, I can feel it, the aliveness of sensation. And that might feel, well, how does it feel this morning? Maybe it feels a little dull and sleepy, maybe it feels a little agitated, maybe there's some physical discomfort or pain. It's like, come inside. Here, Pasiko, come and see. Oh yeah, body's like this. And then this training we have to actually not just momentarily touch on how body is, but to actually just moment by moment, breath by breath, to actually soften and settle into this body, so that we taste, amidst the dynamism, that we start to taste some steadiness, some here-ness, some presence. And we start to feel the naturalness of relaxing into that, trusting presence, so that actually presence becomes primary and all the dynamism of body and heart and mind and senses and habits become secondary. That's maybe the single most potent and important aspect of meditation. Letting presence be primary, and everything else can actually find its place then. So, as I say, coming inside, the dynamism of body. Also coming inside the sensitivity of heart, right? The way in which kind of hoping, wanting, seeking some safety or reassurance or love. And then coming inside the fizzing of mind, the various stories and ideas and images and interpretations, and the way we're sort of scanning for stuff, seeking stuff. So the theme that we gave for this week is in the midst of it all, right? So that sense of coming inside in the midst of, essentially, what are we in the midst of? Our body, heart, mind, and world. We're always right in the midst of all of this. Our practice is one of being consciously in the midst of, rather than lost in the midst of. Consciously in the midst of means, we're able to actually track what's happening, reflect on what's happening, see what's happening that is fearful or reactive, and see what's happening when we give the space and the care of presence to our experience. And then find and take deeper and deeper trust in our capacity for a wise response, free response. So on Monday, in the little preamble before we meditate together, on Monday I just spoke about that quality of presence in the midst of. The capacity to be awake, alive, here, conscious, in the midst of, and the different qualities of presence, like spaciousness, luminosity, that then start to show themselves, different sort of inherent flavors of presence. And then yesterday we spoke about openness in the midst of, capacity to actually kind of not just be here with experience, but actually tend to experience, care for experience, be loving with experience, be gentle with experience. And touched on how that quality of loving doesn't require us to like our experience. No, we can have difficult, uncomfortable, confusing, painful experience. But the way love is that willingness to extend some tenderness, some care. It's like that which is in pain. We think, I can love what I like, but I can't love what I don't like. But actually, we know plenty of experiences in our life where that when someone's in pain, what do they need? Love. Actually, we have love quite naturally responds to that which is unpleasant. When you see somebody who's upset, right? Oh, you want to care for them. When somebody comes to you in distress or difficulty, oh, I wish to support them. That's love. That's compassion, right? And that particular flavor, compassion is that flavor of love that tends to pain. Yeah. So today, having looked at presence in the midst of, and openness, love in the midst of, I was reflecting a little bit this morning how when we talk about being in the midst of, we might ask ourselves usefully, what is it? Or who is it? And the most obvious answer we might come up with is, it's me. I'm in the midst of. Except what we call I, what we think of as being in the midst of experience, we just said, what are we in the midst of? We're in the midst of bodily life, emotional life, mental life, sensory life. Life that we feel, that we call, which we say is happening within, the life which we say is happening around. So if that's what we're in the midst of, it's kind of weird to think that it's me that's in the midst of all that. Because me, what we think of as me, is what? Is bodily life, emotional life, cognitive life, sensory life. So it becomes rather nebulous. We have this inevitable, undeniable sense of self. It's very different than saying, this is me. No, I have a sense. Check out for yourself now as we're just hanging out here. Oh no, I have a sense of me. It's a sense informed by direct feeling. Yeah, I recognize this feeling. It's a sense informed by memory. Oh, yeah, this voice, this feeling, it seems to be coherent over time. Oh, yeah. So it's not that it's of any use to us to try and deny this sense of self that we have. But it is use to us to just gently interrogate, what do I really mean? What am I really inferring with this sense of self? And is it what I take it to be, me? Or is it just that, a sense of self that arises in concert with our bodily life, emotional life, etc.? Sometimes in the tradition, that's called turning the light of awareness around. So that as we establish some steadiness in the midst of experience, as well as attending to breath and body, sound, sensation, thought and feeling coming and going, we also gently start to see, well, what is it that's doing the attending? What is it? Who is it that's present? And crucially, that's not a question we can ever answer. But it is a question that's deeply, deeply, deeply worth asking. And that is where the art of contemplation is, right? In deeply asking the question, what's here? Who's present? Without needing an answer, expecting an answer, grasping for an answer. So, in the midst of that, in the elusive, mysterious, nebulous, and yet imminent, obvious sense of being here, it's like this then, that we sit together in meditation. So please take your seat. Take your seat in the midst of it all. Presence and posture, breath and body, sound and sensation. Inner and outer, coming and going. Gently sensing and settling and softening, coming inside of experience, establishing and re-establishing when necessary again and again this sense of the eye of the storm, present in the midst of. Right here, inside this moment's experience. If you're having a little trouble settling, and keep sensing downward, down into the bottom of the breath, down into your belly, down into the lowest place where you can feel the subtle swelling of the in-breath and the softening of the out-breath. Down in the womby, deep, vast, empty space of the belly center. Down in the midst of it all. Just this. Just the sensing and settling and softening into presence, into being here in the midst of it all. Just this. Let everything that's happening, everything that you notice, everything you feel, everything that appears within awareness, let it all be the evidence that you're right here in the midst of it all. That the very nature of awareness is its intimacy with experience. Consciousness suffuses experience. Consciousness suffuses what we call inner and outer, self and world, body and heart and mind. So that if we're having any experience at all, and whatever it is that we might be aware of, the very fact we're aware of it is the evidence. Oh, right here. Here in this grand, vast intimacy with whatever appears and disappears. Nothing to force. We don't create or maintain or hold on to or manage the sense of presence. Rather, we rest into presence. We relax into the recognition that we're already here. That most fundamentally, we couldn't be anywhere else. So we relax into the midst of it all. Breathe in the midst of it all. Receive quite naturally these flickerings of experience. Presence is both obvious. Right? You're here. And here is where the hearing of my voice is happening. Here is where sensations of body are. Here is where it's all happening. So here is both very obvious, undeniable, and yet also mysterious. What is it that's here? What is it that's present? What is it that is aware? Can we look into the heart of presence? Look into the heart of awareness with that deep curiosity. What is present? What is aware? Without drawing conclusions, without grasping for answers. Is it possible that awareness is both vibrant, personal, intimate, and yet also empty, boundless, unfindable. Permeating everything. And yet existing as nothing. Don't try to understand this. Just lean a little more in. Lean a little more into being here. Into the heart of empty, luminous awareness. Into the essence of being here. These last few minutes of the sitting then, it's continuing to practice like this, resting into presence. Gently inquiring into what it is that's here, that's aware. Resting into this direct knowing, without being able to say what it is that is knowing, that is awake, that is conscious, that is both inside every experience while also embracing all experience. And if at any point you feel confused by any of that, then simply relax. You're already here. Just meet. Just welcoming this breath, these sounds, this momentary flickering of experience right here, which confirms the presence that knows it. May we all see right through ourselves. May we all embrace our true identity, both intimate and infinite, both obvious and boundlessly mysterious. May we all be free in the midst of it all. All right. So, friends, a couple of things. There's been quite a lot of sign-ups for my New Year retreat, and I'm not sure exactly where I'll cap it, but at some point I'll probably stop accepting sign-ups. I'm actually not sure about that, but I don't want it to get too out of hand. So the registrations will stay open, I guess, for a while, but if there's too many sign-ups, I'll close it. So if you want to be sure to follow that New Year's retreat with me, it would be a good idea to sign up sooner rather than later. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, you can... Oh yeah, there's some stuff on the homepage of my website. There's some information about the retreat, which is here. And I think, oh yeah, here we go. This is the actual sign-up page with all the practical details, which is there. So that's happening online, 29th of December to 1st of Jan. And second thing, Dana, it's coming to the end of the year, right? And Sangha Live has been putting on this amazing amount of programming. Almost every day of the year, there's something live, accessible, etc. So, fantastic. And Sangha Live has more or less broken even this year. That means the income has just about matched the costs after running at a loss, quite a significant loss of about 50,000 euros the year before that. So finances are very delicate, and if coming towards the end of the year seems like a good time to show your appreciation and offer whatever you feel able to and wish to in support of Sangha Live, then great. So there's so much appreciation. It's very beautiful. The team receive all kinds of messages of appreciation pretty much daily of people saying how important it's been in their lives. And it's also wonderful to run it on this basis where everything's offered and we have this sense of just mutual support and care, mutual offering to each other. So we try to offer you as much support as we can through teachings and practice and programming and communication and the Connect forum, etc. And then there's that invitation. Hey, please offer us as much as support as you wish to and feel able to, and your circumstances allow. And that's what will allow us to not just keep going, but to keep developing the programming and the kinds of support that we can offer. And there's a lot of ideas for that. I was just in a board meeting last week with lots of amazing ideas for things we could do. But of course, there needs to be a budget to develop those things. So George just posted a link there, sangha.live/donate. And thank you for support you might wish to and be able to offer. All right. So here we are in the midst of it all, right here, everywhere. And if there are questions that arise out of the meditation or anything I said, or just whatever else might be alive in your practice that feels like it would be worth exploring, then please feel free. We've got 10 minutes, a little more, for questions that you might have. And if you type a question in the box, please just begin with writing the word question in capitals. And then I can, yes, like Laura just did. And then I can just find them amongst the comments. All right. Hello, Laura. Anxiety is strong as I move towards challenging days, navigating bereavement and mental health challenges within my family and the pressure of trying to make Christmas special. Any advice of how to stay present and peaceful in the midst of emotionally charged and challenging dynamics? Yeah, so a couple of things, Laura, sort of external and internal. One of the things I think that's helpful externally is just acknowledging with family that, oh, basically, we love each other. That's why we find it important and we want to spend time together. And just that we acknowledge, and it's not always easy. We live different lives. We might have different values. We've got different generational kind of worldviews, etc. And we've had various difficulties or conflicts in the past, like all families. And therefore, it's bittersweet, right? On the one hand, there's this sense of wanting to come together and share time and share love and etc. And on the other hand, because I'm sure you're not the only one, right? On the other hand, there's this sense of trepidation, like, oh, what if this person, does their usual thing and drinks too much or says something insensitive or whatever it is. And so there's something about normalizing the fact that we love each other and want to spend time together, and that is kind of fraught with the kind of, possibility of conflict or hurt. And that if conflicts, like heading it up ahead of time, if conflict or hurt happen, it's like, oh, we can also get past it. In the moment, someone might feel hurt, someone might shout, someone might storm off, someone might feel frustrated. And then it's like, oh, okay. We've probably done that for years and years and years as a family, right? And it's like, we do know actually how to reset. It's like, okay, go, go, breathe, walk, whatever. And then that willingness to just keep gently re-engaging with that weird juxtaposition, right, of love on the one hand, and then hurt and conflict and historical difficulty on the other. So that's I think just normalizing that with some of you might not be able to speak to about it, but those that you can broach that subject with, I think it's really worth doing so. I was just this week having one of those conversations a little bit in my own family. So, and then internally, like just finding ways to go in and out. Like yesterday, somebody was talking about working with emotional difficulty, and we were talking about just coming in a little bit, and then when it's too much, going out. Families are like that, in and out. So finding ways to take plenty, like regular, multiple times a day, little breaks. So you're just going for a walk, for example, or even when when you go to the bathroom or when you take a shower, like using that consciously as a sort of reset moment, like, because it can be hard. You're confronted not just by your own karmic formations, your own history and habits with your family, but everybody else's karmic formations. They're all their own historical habits, which might be a lot more unconscious than yours are. And so just finding those moments to just keep gently withdrawing and resetting. And so that then when you come back, you can be as much as possible warm, spacious, forgiving of everybody else's eccentricities, etc. And then when you start to find yourself getting more like, full up with them, you can withdraw again, go for another little walk, etc. So little breaks, very helpful. And then the other thing would be, it's maybe obvious, but just minimizing the things that lead to lead to conflict. So what's one of the things that leads most to conflict? Alcohol at Christmas. You know, when people drink, they become unreasonable. Oh, that's the other thing. Don't try to reason with, argue with, or even discuss anything much with people who are drunk. That's Buddha's strong recommendation. He says to people teaching Dharma, don't teach someone that's drunk. Don't try to reason with someone that's drunk. Drunk people are not reasonable. You know, there's a way in which people get either belligerent or they get much more emotional, or there's a way in which it's a really. And so Christmas is, you come together as a family. It's not the time to work out all the family dynamics if people are kind of, you know, drinking too much wine at lunch, etc., etc. Yes. So I hope, you know, amidst all of the complexities, I hope some of that can probably recognize some of that, and that some of it can be helpful. All right, Ruth says, I woke up this morning feeling bad about how I treated someone 20 years ago. Yeah, how do I live well with feelings of regret and remorse? So regret and remorse are very good, helpful feelings, I would say, Ruth. You know, they're how we learn. It's how we tenderize the heart towards others and towards our own past behavior. But what easily happens is that the feelings of regret and remorse tip over into guilt. So what's the difference between remorse and guilt? Remorse is just recognizing, that was painful, that was insensitive. I can feel for the impact that had on the other person. And I mean, that's the ache in the heart of recognizing that. I can also feel for the way I was acting out of some reactivity or hurt or confusion myself. Well, that's painful too. Right? Remorse is a way of recognizing and forgiving and kind of resolving the unconscious or unskillful or unkind action. Whereas guilt makes it all around me. Oh my God, how could I do that? How could I say that? How could I be so insensitive? What must they think of me? Right? Remorse is about the action. Guilt is just all about me. And me blaming myself, me berating myself, me feeling bad about myself. So I would say feeling bad about the action is very helpful and healthy. Feeling bad about oneself is never helpful or healthy. And that's a really important, crucial distinction. So can you let your heart be tenderized by the remorse so that in a way that helps you see clearly what happened then? See clearly your own dynamics that led to it. See clearly how you've changed since then, etc., or not. Or see clearly, that still needs some attention. I really want to care for that because I don't want to continue to act that out or to treat other people in a similar way. So, like that's the helpful or kind of wisdom component of remorse, and then to watch out for the way it becomes blaming oneself, berating oneself, or justifying all the stuff that is much more sticky, and it has the sense of self and the sense of evaluating and blaming the self at the midst of it. Very different. Remorse, helpful and healthy. Guilt, useless. All right. Julie says, a recent virus has set off my chronic fatigue symptoms, and I'm intensely aware when I sit of how much my whole body is in pain, as if on fire, struggling to accept and enjoy my meditation. Any advice? Couple of things, Julie. Just emphasizing qualities of tenderness, gentleness, tenderness. So that means, what does that mean? Two components. One is just an emotional tenderness, like recognizing, this is difficult to feel, painful to feel, uncomfortable to feel. So anytime I talk about awareness, you can just totally substitute that for tenderness, right? Tenderness in the midst of it all. Tender in the breathing, tender in the feeling, tender with the ideas that come and go, etc. And then the other aspect of that, gentleness, sounds similar, but in terms of just how, like, if your whole body feels like it's on fire, I'm wondering if sitting in this kind of formal way is the best for you. So what would be a comfortable way where you can still really have that sense of coming inside experience, but in a way that feels like it's really gentle with and respectful of the health situation that you have. So it might be that you practice lying down or leaning back against something, or that even if you're capable of sitting upright, there's something about, you just arrange a sense of like cushions or something so that you have a sense that you're entering very gently into this. That's what kind of often what post-viral stuff, fatigue, adrenal conditions, just kind of the organ strain and all of that goes along with it, often just needs a lot of gentleness. A lot of gentleness, so they're not forcing, pushing in any way. And I'm sure you know that if you've been managing those symptoms for a while. Yeah. And then see if, in terms of what you talk about enjoying the meditation, right? It's hard to enjoy meditation, like you say, when it feels like your whole body's on fire. But is it possible to enjoy the gentleness, enjoy the fact that your relationship to yourself can be a very kind, tender, sensitive, forgiving, allowing, soothing one? That is definitely possible. So just to be able to enjoy the fact that, it's possible to be really, to have that, to cultivate an inner feeling of kind of forgiveness and soothing and gentleness. Yeah. Pauline says, I'm feeling sleepy during meditation these days. Any advice to stay focused and aware of what's happening? Yeah, me too, Pauline. I'm feeling rather sleepy this morning. So a couple of things. You might just enjoy it. Sleepy. There's a kind of... So we tend to just kind of like get lost in the fog of sleepiness. But is it possible, right? What we talk about being awake in the midst of it all. Is it possible, even feeling dull, sleepy, that which knows sleepiness is not sleepy. Right? That which is aware of dullness isn't itself dull. So there's something about just what happens, even right now, if you're still feeling sleepy. Just totally surrender to the sleepiness. And see how you're still here. That there's a kind of, somewhat counterintuitively, there's a kind of luminosity that's inside the sleepiness, or that's around the sleepiness, or both actually. The luminosity that allows you to recognize and feel and know the sleepiness. That luminosity is awake. So you can use the sleepiness in that way to bring you back to awakeness. But if it's just the sleepiness where you're just kind of getting lost and going really dull, then you also might try opening your eyes instead of having them closed. You might try stopping your breath when you get to the end of the out breath. Just stop for 20, 30 seconds until you really need to breathe. Then you'll find you're suddenly very interested in the next breath. All right. And then Savina is asking just about the end of the meditation. Sounded like construction. Yeah, it was the trash truck coming by, and it did it yesterday as well. So I assume it'll be back again tomorrow. So we just like you might do yourself, just kind of have to incorporate whatever the conditions are. All right, friends. There's lots more comments there. But I see we're at the top of the hour, so I'll wish you well. Hope you can go gently through your day, that you can stay curious, this sort of mysterious confluence of, on one hand, being here in the midst of it all, and on the other hand, not really being able to say who or what it is that's here. And yet, nevertheless, just keep being able to increasingly trust the fact that you're here, the fact that you're actually in just the right spot, here in the midst of it all. Best place to be, whatever the circumstance, ironically. Thank you, friends. See you tomorrow.